What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 275 of The Ball is Round. I'm Andy Coronado, and as always, I'm joined by my local Greek friend, Elias Grigoriadis, and the OG, Hadi Rafael. All right, and we got a no screen Hadi Rafael. Good start. Good start.
Fantastic.
That's exactly. Hey, man, we're gonna rock and roll either way. But all right, so episode 2. How are you doing, Elias? First of all, until we get a Hattie back, let's just do a little bit of back
I'm
and
doing
forth.
great. I'm doing great. Soccer's in full swing. Europe is back. Barcelona is for once is the only team actually bringing me joy instead of causing me heartache and annoyance and mental illness. So hey, can't complain.
Yeah, man, I get that. I get that. Like, I know it's right now. It's a lot of soccer going on, a lot of stuff going on. Like, there's games that you just don't want to miss. It's that perfect time of the season. European soccer, as you mentioned, is getting started, but here we're in full swing with FC Roses. So what the hell? Roses FC Super de Quebec, CF Montreal. Oh my God, I got all mixed up.
Yeah, I got like
But this
seven
week,
clubs I gotta follow now.
it's a hard life. We have a hard life.
Yeah,
But no, it's definitely one of those things that this weekend. Shout out to my wife Kim. We celebrated her birthday, and in between all those festivities, I was trying to keep a close eye on the games. Trying my best because I knew that come Monday I had to be here for the show. So yeah, we had some interesting
it's a
games.
grind.
Interesting game. These are the kind of weekends, honestly, Elias, where I wish that soccer completely eliminated ties, because we got three of them this weekend, and it makes for very little conversation, but
Yeah,
but still
but also a whole lot of conversation. There's also still a lot to take away.
a lot, especially when it comes to angry coaches and angry reactions, right? So no, definitely a lot to talk about. We're still waiting on Hadi, guys. Sorry about that. Hadi's having some technical difficulties, but he'll join us right into the conversation. But Elias, let's get right into it. Before we get started, though, guys, as always, if you're enjoying The Ball is Round, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. It really helps support the channel. Then let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your take. And be sure to follow us on all social medias for the latest on CF Montreal, Rose FC, and FC Super du Quebec. All right, first thing on the menu, CF Montreal. CF Montreal drew against LA Galaxy 2-2 at Stade Saputo during a special night where Montreal Impact OG Lloyd Barker was inducted into the Wall of Fame. And we also got to see Alexis Sanchez make his home debut. And we'll talk about the game in a second. But let's go ahead and pull up the lineup before we get started into the game. For CF Montreal, at goalie, we had Tomas. Hey, Hadi's back.
Hey, sorry about that,
Hey. How you
guys.
doing, Hadi? It's okay.
I'm
We're just
fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. Some computer problems. I don't know what's going on. So
another
hopefully it will not happen again. It's been doing that since this morning, and it's driving me crazy.
is
So
just
sorry.
another Monday.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyways, we're diving right into CF Montreal. So, Elias, if you can just go ahead and pull up the lineup again. Sorry about that. So, at the goal, we have Thomas Gillier. At right back, we had David Bugay. Uh, at center back, we had Brian Vera and Jalen Neal, as well as left back Luca Petrasso. In midfield, we have Matty Longstaff, Danny Pereira, and Victor Lotori. And at the top, we had Noah Stride, Prince Owusu, and Daniel Rios. All right. So, I have the same question for all three games. As I mentioned earlier, all three games finished in a draw. Good evening, LP Habs fan. Thank you so much for
Hello.
joining us. So yes, what I was saying, and JFL Montreal, thank you so much for joining us. It was this one ended in a 2-2 draw. But my question before you guys give your take, I want to hear you what you think of this tie, because a tie can always feel like a win or a tie can always feel like a loss. How did you guys feel that this tie felt? Elias, I'll start with you. Did it feel like a win or a loss? And then tell me why.
It felt like honestly, it's one of the few times it felt like neither, because while I remember that games like this are super important and you have to kind of take advantage of home games and to kind of bridge the gap between you and the playoff spots. I also remember what CF Montreal's record when their up a man is, and it's diabolical. And so the fact that not only did they not lose, but they actually managed to go out there and grab a draw, baby steps, right? The power of positivity and all that stuff. But good evening, Robbie. But look, at the end of the day, it's yeah, you want them to do better, but at least with the man advantage, they went out there, they got a draw, they got a point, and they came back from down a goal. So I think that when you look at the result, it's a very well deserved draw for both sides. I don't think any team feels like they lost a point. I don't think lost 2 points. I don't think that any team feels like they won a point. Both teams earned a draw.
Hadi, as Elias mentioned, Montreal at some point goes up a man. There were a lot of controversial calls, and we'll talk a little bit more about the refereeing a little later. But I want to know, does this tie feel like a win or a loss given the situation of everything?
It's hard to say because you could say either of them and none of them. So in my opinion, I would say it felt like a loss, and the reason behind it is that I don't think the Galaxy are a good team. I don't think that the Galaxy are doing enough to even fight for a playoff spot in the West, and at the same time, we are on a good trajectory. We're doing better with Philippe Lafroy, under Philippe Lafroy. We are a team that's trying to improve and have been improving in the last few games. So I would expect better from a team that's improving versus a team that's stalling a bit like the Galaxy, in my opinion. This is how I see it. So before the game, I was like, okay, we should win that game. That should be a win. It's time to win at Stade Saputo. This is the perfect opponent. We have to win. Now, when you look at the game itself, and we'll talk about it, I think, a bit later, I didn't like the starting 11. Talk about it a bit later, I'm pretty sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. I didn't like the starting 11 for multiple reasons. We know how the Galaxy plays. They're a team that plays in transition. Because they're a team playing in transition, you have a player like Paintsil that played in Belgium that's super, super fast. They're going to play in transitions. They're going to play in counterattack, and it's going to be very, very fast. So you're going to need a lot more defensive stability in the back than just going, all in like we've been doing under Lafroy, especially in the midfield. Like having three mobile midfielder, in my opinion, for that game wasn't the right choice. I would have preferred to have a Samuel Piet in that game to just stop the counterattacks. It's just tactical decision. I understand the choice of not having him in the starting 11 usually, but for that game specifically, I think that Samuel Piet should have had the start. And we need to be able to change depending on the opponent, to not to adapt to the opponent, but to find the weaknesses of the opponent and to make sure to counter their strength. And in this particular situation, we didn't do so. At the same time, I'm pretty sure Elias mentioned it yesterday at KNFC. We've had the same midfielders for the past 3 games, and it's about time. I think they needed a bit of rest, and we saw Danny Pereira and even Philippe Lafroy said it in his post game that he was completely exhausted. So that's why he had to remove him. So at the same time, if you knew he wasn't going to be able to be a starter, to play the full game, why not give your captain Samuel Piet, a nod and a start in a game where that suits him? So I think that's a missed opportunity, in my opinion, from Philippe Lafroy. I love that coach. I think he's been awesome, but everybody makes mistakes. I think in this scenario, he made a mistake by not choosing the right players.
Well, as much as Lafroy knows the league, just due to its history, and by the way, we have fantastic comments which we'll get to in a second. As much as we know Lafroy, he's still learning a lot of these things. Like you mentioned man management, understanding situations. He knows a lot, but it's still important to react the right way. And as you mentioned, when you see a Daniel Pereira that is tired, and it's time to take him out because obviously he's not impacting the game the way you want him to. If anything, he's delaying the game, then it's a problem. And yes, you're right. The midfield to me was average at best, against a very in French you'll say a prenable, something that was that you could feel that they could almost win this game, but it's just lapses, right? It's moment of immaturity, if you want, or not understanding necessarily what's going on. And so um I think it was an important game to win, given the whole situation. As I mentioned, Alexis Sanchez being present, as well as the Lloyd Barker situation. I think finally this game the bell returned, right? Because last game we didn't have it. This game it returned, so it was obviously like kind of back to the old Stats of Puro environment that we knew. And to me, this tie feels like a loss given the situation. I think LA Galaxy is not a better team than CF Montreal, and I also know that they played one man up. I believe in the 70th minute. I don't have it in my head right now, but um, they should have taken advantage. But I think no Henadi Sinchuk. Apparently, we learned today that Wiki Carmona was ready to play maybe some minutes, but they held him back. The club held him back. But again, it's what if what. But given the hand that Lafra was dealt, I do think this should have been a win. We have a lot of comments in the comment section. We'll start with Sam Savi. What's up?
Hey,
Robbie says
Sam.
that it felt like a draw. We are not very good either, Hadi. But LP Hassan actually said something interesting right before. He said before the red, a tie was a win. After the red, a win was a loss. That's interesting. That's interesting because the red makes a difference as to what the ultimate tie is, right? We have P Dubs that says since Pierre is out of the lineup, we have one win, and I'm not his biggest fan. So kind of reflect what you were saying, Hadi. What is Pierre the missing ingredient? And P Dubs also says Loturi cannot play one more moment.
Oh,
That's harsh.
yeah.
That's
Can
harsh.
we stop on that
The
Luturi
Loturi hate.
bashing, man?
Yeah.
Like, this guy has given his heart and soul for this team. Yeah, he's not gonna. He's not. I feel that we're having the discussion on Luturi, the same discussion that we've had with Piet over the years. We're having it with Luturi just because he's Canadian and he's not a midfielder that scores goals. Man, he does so many things on the pitch for us. And yes, sometimes he makes mistakes, like every one of the players. But I think Loturi is a very important part of the squad, not the starting 11, but the squad. Like, people are too harsh on him. I just
But
don't get it.
Elias, did you think that Lottori played tired, similar to what we saw about Daniel Pereira? Was it a tired midfield that was out there against LA Galaxy? Oh yeah, we can't hear
You're on
you,
mute. You're
Elias.
on
You're
mute. You're
muted.
on mute,
Yeah.
man. You're on mute. I can unmute you if you want.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Victor Laturi play tired before. I mean, I think it's clear that you needed some fresher legs in the midfield, but Victor Laturi, Victor Laturi is not the problem. And here's the thing, right? 90% of the time that I hear people complain about Victor Laturi, he's not the problem. The issue with Victor Laturi is that he's not the solution, right? Because his profile has a lot of value, especially when you have someone like Danny Pereira in the midfield, a fully rested Danny Pereira, because you have this kind of, regista and ball winner combination that, even though Victor Laturi is not playing as a six, he's not playing as that lone pivot, he is the individual at the back that is winning the midfield duels in the middle of the park, right? Danny Pereira has, I think, surprised a lot of people with his ball winning ability and his ability to run people down, because when he was brought in, he was not brought in for that purpose, right? So I think anything extra that you get from Danny Pereira besides, conducting the tempo and controlling the game in possession, I think is a welcome surprise, because I saw him close down space. I saw him win the ball. I saw him put in really good challenges, especially for a guy who's not that big and not that physically imposing. So I really like that. But Victor Laturi, yeah, he's not going to change lives. He's not going to win you games, but he's definitely not costing games. And so I understand that there's very valid criticism, but I feel like it's way overblown, because The Victor Latour we saw at the beginning of the season under Marco Donadel, I 100% agree. He cannot play another minute. But under Philippe Lafroy, he kind of found new life. I think he's learned to simplify his game a little bit because at the end of the day, it's just Marco Donadel was asking too much of him. And Victor Latour did not have the capacity and he was just spread too thin. But ever since Philippe Lafroy came in, I've seen a much more confident and a much more relaxed version of Victor Latour that is at the very least okay. You know, like he's not good. Again, he's not fantastic, but he's doing his job. So up until you get an elite, Casemiro kind of player that could win you the ball and contribute. Like again, what you're asking for a team in a full rebuild is just not there right now. You got Danny Pereira, which is a massive get. Baby steps. All right. So I mean, I kind of agree with P Dubs that the future lies beyond what Victor Latour currently brings, but in this moment, he has a very precise role and he brings value. So I think that people are maybe looking ahead too quickly. You're not going to redo the entire, starting 11 in 12 months.
I agree with that, and I agree with you, Elias. Kind of jumping off of that because I don't agree with saying that Latour shouldn't play another minute. I do think he's a very valuable part of this team. But if we fully reload this squad the way it's into a winning squad, Latour does not have a starting position, in my opinion.
Absolutely. No, I think he's not supposed to be a starter. I agree with you.
Exactly. I think he needs to be a power, someone that can control the midfield when the rest of the midfield is tired because he's an engine. He can run. He can continue running. He has his he has very interesting defense. And so he's very, I think he's an important part of this team. Now, I like what you said, Hadi, because you compared him a little bit, that criticism he's receiving to the same way that, or Elias, I'm sorry, the same way that he received it, Samuel Piet received it, right? Only because he's Canadian. But is there a point in saying that he should be benched because of his play? Because right now, the way Elias and I talked about it is he should still be used, but he should be used limited, So what do you think, Hadi? Is it justifiable to bench him based on his play?
I think that right now, as Elias said, we need him. Right now, in the starting 11, the players that we have, I don't think we can play without a Victor Latour, unless you bring in Samuel Piet. That's even more defensive than Victor Latour. You need someone that's gonna win balls and give a simple pass. You need that player. What Latour has more than Piet is that he's just never tired. He's just he runs and runs and runs and runs, and that's something that's very, very important. And you know what? That's the kind of player that you want to have in your squad. I think that Victor Latour, it could be a part of any squad in MLS, not especially in the starting 11, but on the squad itself, on the 30 players on the roster. He has a part to play in every squad in MLS because he's reliable. He's able to run a lot, and he's able to do the dirty work. And that's something that's not very easy to find. So yeah, I don't think he should be a starter, but I think he's important right now, and he's a starter right now with Philippe Lafroy, with the players that Philippe Lafroy has.
The only other alternative is just Samuel Piet playing as a sentinel, and then Danny Pereira stepping into that role as an 8, which again I wouldn't hate, but with the way Danny Pereira is playing right now, you kind of have to play the hot hand, and that's one of the few things right now that I think needs absolutely no correction on the team. And so I think Danny Pereira in his role right now should not change. So unfortunately for Samuel Piet, that means that either learn how to play as an 8 or come off the bench. But if that's going to be the case, you need a ball winner, you need a workhorse. And so, that's Victor Latour. There's nobody else. So that kind of is what it is. I mean, Matty Longstaff has the engine for it, but Victor Latour is a better ball winner. So now you're kind of just like, you're kind of picking at straws here.
Look, we're gonna get to comments. We have a lot of them. We love them, guys. I just have a question for you though. Should I get a haircut? Because I'm looking myself in the camera. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
Andy, focus.
All right,
I don't know what that means.
Fucking guy, man. This fucking guy.
Lighten the mood after a draw. Okay, so we have JFL Montreal that says a tie would have been all right if we didn't lose so many points in the last few weeks the same way.
For sure.
Well, sure, yeah. Now Samuel Savi tells us, do you guys want to play a game?
I love this.
IMF fullback pairings. Want to play a game? He says, Bugai Petrasso, Kamara Oyongo, Lovett Sagna. I mean, look, so hard to me. I'm not gonna rank. I'm sorry, Sam. I love the game. I'm not gonna rank them because it was such different times and such different football that we're talking about then. So it's gonna be hard for me too because I can't compare Bugai Petrasso to Lovett and Sagna. Like that was so different, such different scheme, such different coaches. I don't know if you guys can do it, but we got to do it quick because we have a lot.
I'll do it very quick. For me, Kamara Oyongo is first.
Number one.
I don't think Bugai and Petrasso are near them yet. I would go with Bugai Petrasso right after and Lovett Sagna in the end. Because I didn't like Sagna with CF Montreal. I don't think he was terrible, but he wasn't that dominant in my opinion. And it's just that, he was Bakary Sagna, and everybody was like, "Oh, Bakary Sagna is here," but
So
like,
like
he didn't
Alexis
do
Sanchez,
anything.
right?
No. We don't know what's going to happen with Alexis Sanchez. But Bakary Sagna, the games that he played, he wasn't that good. When you look at Rod Fanny had a very big impact on the team. Bakary Sagna, it was very average.
Okay. We got to get to the game. Elias, rank them quickly. Those fullback.
I mean, Hadi's right. I think you also have to take into account that the MLS has also changed. Don't get used to it. But I think that, even if you take into account the fact that the MLS has changed, what they've contributed and the quality that they brought and how important they were at pivotal moments, Kamara Oyongo is untouchable, at least right now. But, Sam said that Montreal quietly have the best fullback pairing in the league. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I like Petrasso and Bugai in terms of just like consistency. I think that Brian Ceballos brings an extra kind of dynamic to that, but best in pairing in the league is a lot, because again, the team defense is okay, but the 1v1 defense is rough from Bugai and Petrasso. They defend well as a unit of four, because a lot of that has to, again, a lot of the team's defensive success has to do with Brian Vera and Jalen Neal playing out of their minds. But one-on-one defending, both of them have been caught out, have been beat 1v1, and kind of have these lapses. So, yeah, they may be solid, but I wouldn't go throwing around best in the league. If you want to say like top 10, fine. But best in the league is a very tall order.
And we have a lot. I'm reading the comments, guys. It's a lot of back and forth, and I love it. Continue debating, guys. We'll read what we can interact. As you guys know, we have 3 teams to cover, so we do try to get to everything. Let's get to the top and flop of the game. What do you say? All right, Hadi, give me your top and your flop of the CF Montreal game versus LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sam is going to be pretty happy, but Luca Petrasso for me is my top.
Mm-hmm.
I simply just love that player. Last year I said that he was the man of the season, the player of the season. And this year, I think he's even improving a bit more. And by the way, we do have an interview with him, so check it out on our Patreon. We did have him in an interview, and it was really interesting. But yeah, for me, Luca Petrasso again. I know that Elias wasn't a big fan of his crossing ability, but you have to say that he improved quite a lot.
He's gotten much better, right? I'll call a spade a spade. The cross was beautiful.
Oh my God, the cross was like perfect cross, because everybody's gonna look at the header of Prince Owusu and are gonna say, Prince is so good, but no, the cross was just perfect. Owusu just had to put a touch on it, and that's exactly what he did. For my flop, I'm gonna surprise a lot of people, but I would say Prince Owusu. I know he did score a goal. I agree. I think that everything else in the game, he did wrong. Everything else. Like, I can't even count the number of times where I saw and I was like, "Ah man, Owusu, what did you do? Ah man, Owusu, what did you do?" Like every single time. And my friend and I we were watching the game, and we saw that Alexis Sanchez was about to come in, and my friend was like, "Yeah, no, you need to put to substitute Owusu." Like he's never going to do that because to they want to make sure that they complement each other and they play together. Alexis Sanchez and Owusu. I know he had a bad game, and at the same time, Owusu at any time can score a goal, and that's exactly what he did. He had a terrible game, but you know what? That's what good players do. When they have a terrible game, they still manage to put that goal, and he did just that.
Elias, before I get to your top and flop, we have a serious question in the comments. JFL
Yeah, look,
Montreal
my
asks,
my room is way too hot, and look, the second we hit September, the hat is coming off because I'm no longer sweating. From June to August,
no hair, baby.
I'm sweating,
Okay, so
and so
next week he can reveal his hair.
yeah, if
No, it's the
it's like
31st.
look, it's currently 27 degrees in my room. Okay, do with that information what you will, but I'm sweating. Okay, there's a light going on my face. There's a laptop that's like
Strip tease,
All
there's a
right, moving
laptop
on.
that's a foot
Next,
away from me that's going at full blast trying to put this podcast together. It is hot as shit in this musty ass room that I'm in.
top and
So
flop.
my top is Danny Pereira. We talked a bit about how he's exhausted, but you could, even when he was exhausted, you see the level drop massively the second he got off the field. And just the control over the middle of the park, the rhythm, the composure, everything that he brings is massive, and he was super important today. I also want to give a mini shout out to Jalen Neal, because having Jalen Neal back healthy and starting games back to back to back is unbelievable. My flop is going to be Noah Strait, because I think Noah Strait has taken big, big steps forward, but playing him on the right, he looked like he was out to sea. He wasn't combining with everybody. He wasn't linking up with Bugai. He wasn't getting into good spaces. He wasn't involved in the game as much as we've seen him on the left, where even if what he's trying is not coming off, he's trying stuff. He's getting into defenders' faces. It's very similar to what we saw from Dante Sealy at the beginning of last season, where most of the stuff he's trying is not working, but there's something, at least. There's an effort. There's this willingness to get forward and take people on and progress the ball by any means necessary. Noah Strait on the right gave me none of that. So, the few times that just through the course of play, he and Danny Rios would swap sides and he ended up on the left was infinitely better. And it stood out to me. So Noah Strait on the right, with a healthy Nadi Sinchuk and a healthy Wiki Carmona and Oher Escobar, there's more than enough players that can play on the right that Noah Strait should never have to touch that side of the field again. But again, people are hurt, people aren't available. It's life. But now you have the option to kind of learn and play behind Alexis Sanchez. He's in an ideal spot right now to really take another step forward.
Awesome. So for me, my top and flop, I'll start with my top. My top, last week I said it was Jalen Neal. Okay. This week I'm going to say it's the back line. The combination of Jalen Neal with Brian Vera. That is a hell of a combination to me.
Oh,
Because
say that was your flop. I was gonna lose my shit.
no, my top, because I haven't seen that kind of combination from the back line from CF Montreal in a long time. We thought we were starting to see it with George Campbell and Jalen Neal back in 2023, I believe, when they were playing together more often. They seemed to
2024.
understand 2024. They seemed to understand each other really, really well. What we didn't know was that George Campbell was on the rise, was ready to, he was really, really improving his game big time. And Jalen Neal was kind of taking advantage of that. Now we're seeing a Jalen Neal that has upped his game and Brian Vera that already had a decent game. And the two of them playing together, I love that back line, guys, because they bring so much stability, especially in a game, and the kind of game that demands them to play such a high line, and that sometimes one will go more forward than the other. Obviously, there will be mistakes. Jalen Neal is still young. Brian Vera is a veteran in his own, but also makes mistakes. But I do really like that back line, and I really liked what they did against LA Galaxy. I mentioned it last week. Jalen Neal has quietly shut down his side from any attacks, and he's been I put on a clip on X of him doing like a clinical tackle that I loved on the bat, returning to defense. So again, the combination of both of them has been my top for this game. My flop has to be. I forgot my flop. I had my flop in my mind, and now I forgot it. But no, it's just. Yes. Okay. So this one is gonna be that's why I forgot it. That this is gonna be maybe a little bit controversial, but I don't care. Obviously, I think my flop was Alexis Sanchez because
man, he loves doing that. Man, he loves doing that.
Hold on, let me.
He just loves doing that. Like every time, it's like a trademark and a copyright for Andy Coronado. Every time.
That's strike 1 and 2.
No. That's 3, man. He did that for Canada when they won against Qatar.
No, every episode it resets. Every episode it resets.
No, he shouldn't reset, man. Kick him out.
No, he gets timeout. Add strike 3, he gets timeout. So he might get strike 2 and 3 while explaining his flop. By the way, so.
Are you guys done? Are we good to go?
Elaborate, Andy.
34. He played for 26 minutes. Am I reading that right? Or 28 minutes? 34 touches, 10 possessions lost, passing accuracy, 73%, 1 of 2 crosses. Again, to me, it's such an important moment for him to go in 26 minutes at Stade Saputo. They need a score, and he is supposed to be there to help the team score. And I think this is rage bait, guys. I'm just giving my opinion. I don't care. I don't care what y'all think. This is what I think. I expect a lot more from a designated player and Alexis Sanchez when it's 30 minutes and he's out there in the press conference saying that he runs more than the kids. Like, okay, obviously he's not going to score 5 goals. I understand that, but I expect a lot more than the performance he put on against LA Galaxy. I'm always open to people saying he played fantastic. He's the best. Yeah, he might have been the best, player in the field, but it still wasn't good enough for who he is and what he can do. And I don't think he changed the game. I don't think he really changed the game in many ways. Yes, was the second goal scored when he was on the field? Yes, but I would give that more to Fabian Herbert and a fantastic cross by Luca Petrasso on that goal by Prince Owusu. But I'm not going to give it to Alexis Sanchez. So, again, that's my opinion until he proves me wrong. Next week, he might score 5 goals, and I have nothing to say. Okay? But for now, I'm going to say that's my flop. It doesn't mean he's the flop of the season. I think you froze, Hadi, by the way. I don't know what the hell you're doing. But
I think your brain froze while watching the game. He's doing a concussion test to you, by the way, Andy. That's what they do to people when they get concussed. So he's making sure that your brain is intact.
Alexis Sanchez was playing too deep because they have none that can get him to the ball besides Pereira right now. Maybe that's it. That's what it is. But
Sanchez came on for Pereira, right?
Exactly. So but there were some simple passes that to me he missed, and I expect a lot more from a player that has played in that high level of Europe. Stop putting up Samuel Savi's comment. Jesus.
Stop saying dumb shit.
Okay, one sec. Okay.
And he's Chilean. Andy, okay, go on.
Andy, I understand your enthusiasm that you're expecting from a DP to come and score 6 goals in a span of like 15 minutes when it's their second game and they're still in preseason mode. I completely understand your enthusiasm, but at the same time, we didn't put him as a top either, Elias or me, right? We didn't put him as a top because, of course, we expect more from him. But to put him as a flop, that means that he had a terrible game. He didn't have the
worst player of the game.
It's the worst. Like, how do you see that he was the worst player of the game? Like, the guy came and he made things happen, right?
Really? What did he make happen?
Oh, energy, man. The intensity, the energy that he brought on the pitch. You saw, I have never seen Olger Escobar be that available to his teammates that with Alexis Sanchez. Usually you see Olger Escobar, he's like 70 minutes on the pitch and He's nowhere to be seen. He's nowhere an option for any player on the pitch.
So
Like,
he's
this
good
time,
because
he was
Olga Escobar is
combining.
open.
No, he's good because he makes the other players around him better. And you saw every player on the pitch was better just because Alexis Sanchez was here. Fabian Herbers with that pass to Luca Petrasso, if you didn't have that pass from Alexis Sanchez to
Which was
Herbers,
deflected by the head by the
but
LA
still,
Galaxy.
it came exactly where he wanted it. Oh, come on, Andy. But, like, that's really bad faith, man. Like, I don't know,
All right.
man.
I stand by what I
know.
said. All right, so
Now he's
well,
gonna leave
love-
Montreal, and it's gonna be all
I
your
love
fault.
I love LPA Habs fan comment, Dikembe Raphael for Dikembe Mutombo that used to do that. Just, for any basketball fan that watched the basketball in the 90s.
Robbie, you guys. Hey, listen, that's what happens. That's what we do here, right? We both watch the same. We all three of us watch the same game, but we have very different opinions about the players.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's okay, because at the end of the
Very,
day, you know what happens? The week after, the next moment we see each other, we point at each other. We call each other out. Hey, Hadi, you were wrong. Hey, Andy, so stupid what you said last week. It's fantastic. This is what we do. This is why we do it. We love it. If not, we
I
wouldn't.
didn't wait a week, Andy. Sorry.
You did what?
I waited like 30 seconds. I'm sorry. I didn't wait a week
30 seconds to what?
to call you
To
out.
say
on your
that
take.
you're stupid.
Okay. All right, moving on to the last topic of CF Montreal before we move on to our next topic, because
We love you, Andy. We love you, Andy.
I love myself and my
That's
opinions.
good.
All right, so Elias, can you go ahead and play that clip?
Non, il y a 20 000 personnes qui l'ont revu, 10 fois, 25 fois, ils sont tous à 97%, j'ai fait un sondage, il y avait penalty. Donc voilà, soit on a 19 000 idiots dans l'assistance, soit c'est nous qui ne comprenons rien en foot, il y a quelque chose.
Mais est-ce qu'on a fini par vous donner des explications sur pourquoi il n'y avait
Zéro. Je suis intellectuellement pas trop en problème la plupart du temps. Mais on a vraiment l'impression qu'ils nous prennent pour des moins que rien. Il y a un manque de respect total. Et quand on a l'impression, face à ces gens-là, qu'on est des ignorants du jeu, c'est problématique. Et c'est pas la première fois. On peut en avoir je sais pas combien. Derrière, on va recevoir une belle lettre de la MLS. On s'excuse, il y avait... Ouais. Donc voilà, on va recevoir une belle lettre d'excuse de la MLS.
Yeah,
So for those of you who we just showed Philippe Lafroy's post-game press conference against LA Galaxy, where he was kind of emotional. I mean, you guys, Elias, I think you were in the press conference room that day. You could tell that he's obviously angry. He's just coming an emotional, almost. I always have the perception that Philippe Lafroy is a very calculated person, a very calculated speaker when he answers questions. But it really felt like an emotional, angry, exhausted response at that point, because maybe it's an accumulation of calls after calls, not just LA Galaxy, but overall. And he just kind of, he was asked what he thought of the refereeing that night, right? What he thought of if he thought it was a penalty. There were several moments where there should have been penalties called, maybe, or fouls called, especially when my famous flop gets tackled out of his mind. But it's what did you guys think of that reaction when you hear Philippe Lafroy reacting like that? Did you like it? Would you have preferred maybe he held back, let the public voice their opinion, or do you guys prefer a coach that chooses his words carefully but delivers the message nonetheless? Hadi, I'll start with you. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Elias. Elias wanted to jump on this. No, okay. He's gone. No, but okay. What do I prefer as a fan, as a football lover? When I used to coach, I'm a very fiery coach. Okay, I'm someone that likes to, get emotional and say exactly what you're thinking and what you're feeling. So I like that as a person. But when I take a step back and as an analyst, and when I see that, I don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks good because the only result that's going to happen out of this is going to be either neutral or bad. Nothing good is going to come out of it. Like, from the MLS point of view, of course, in my opinion. Now, that's the thing that I don't like. Now, at the same time, people can say, you know what? He set the table for, the future games and future refs whenever they're going to ref, a CF Montreal game. I'm pretty sure they're going to think about it 2 or 3 times before, giving controversial calls. I don't think refs care about that. I don't think they're affected by that. I think that the refs, they're taught since they start, and most of the refs that are reffing in MLS, I know that we like to really bash them, and we like to really say that they're not good and everything, but most of them have 10, 15, 20 years under their belt, right? They start very young, and they're taught to judge the game, not emotionally, but by the letter of the law. So at the same time, I think whatever Vito Pelafroy says is not going to change what the referee is going to call in future games. So I don't know. Honestly, I like it, but I don't think it's going to help the team.
Elias?
I think it was calculated. I think it was something he's probably been feeling for a while. And honestly, good on him. Because if you look back, especially since the World Cup break, the club has every right to feel, at the very least, hard done by some of these reffing decisions. You can look at the penalty that they conceded against Nashville. That wasn't a penalty. That ended up being the winning goal, the only goal. You could look at the penalty against Inter Miami, which was, while it was a very scary thing that happened, was it actually a penalty? I don't think so.
Really? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I mean, he fell badly, and that's really what happened. But I don't think that was a penalty. So I think they have every right to. And the thing is, that nobody really protested it because, again, when a serious injury like that happens right after, then you kind of lose sight of the game because there's more important stuff happening on the field. I don't think it's a penalty, and so every not every, because that's an exaggeration, but there is this feeling around the club that 50-50 calls are not going their way no matter what, and so that frustration is going to bubble up. And if Philippe Pelafroy has to eat a fine to at least get this out into the public space, then he has to do it, right? Because if he just makes one small comment, I thought it was a penalty, that sucks, then nothing's really going to change, and nothing really is gonna, it's no real effect. So if he thinks that this is the best way to at least kind of get on people's radar, then so be it. But the second he started speaking, I knew he wasn't exaggerating. The second he started speaking, and he started, and the way he said that he's, they're being treated like they're less than nothing, this is not uncommon, right? Especially high-level refs, they're taught to interact with people like you are less than nothing, with almost like this disdain and this apathy towards you, because that's how at least some refs perceive that they can maintain control over the game. They start talking too much, they start getting too chummy, they start getting too friendly. They feel like every single time there's a complaint, they can come talk to you. But if I treat you like you are phytoplankton, then maybe people are going to be discouraged to come and complain to you. And I feel like that's exactly what happened here. And it's not the first time that's happened. And Marco Donadel has talked about it as well. Marco Donadel talks about the refs a lot, though, right? Philippe Pelafroy does as well. But again, I said it yesterday. I can't say, but if Marco Donadel was coaching that game, he'd be on the field after what happened.
Red card, 1,000%.
Because 100%. He would have gotten sent off in a heartbeat. Then we'd be here talking about, Marco Donadel can't keep control of it, right? But Philippe Pelafroy did the same thing. He just picked his moment on when to do it. He didn't do it on the field. He didn't get booked. What he did was he did in the press conference, and he'll eat a fine. But you know what? It's a worthwhile fine, because the second the press conference ended, we all knew he was going to get fined. They're not idiots. They see if you're going to be talking about the rest like that, it's fine. But I love what he said. Philippe Pelafroy also has a fantastic way with words. So not only did he not just complain, but he dressed it up fantastically, and he also made everyone in the press room laugh a little bit because, again, he delivers lines like no other coach I've been.
I did a survey. He said I made a survey that made me laugh.
So he's got a great grasp of how to, first of all, in the midst of a press conference, get the media on his side, but he also paints very well with his words. So it's the Frenchman in him. Honestly.
Yeah, no, and I think as I mentioned to you guys offline, I do think that Philippe Lafroy is for those of you who don't know or do know, it's Doctor Lafroy, right? So he's a very well thought out man. Like he knows exactly. I believe this is what I believe is that he does know when to choose his moments and when to say. Yes, did he look emotional? Did he look angry? 100%. But I still think that he takes his time, really making sure that he knows he's calculating what he's saying. Now, as a fan of this team, as someone that supports this team, you love to hear your coach saying that. You love a coach that has his holds his emotions up his sleeve and speaks what the fan is speaking. But at the same time, as you mentioned, Elias, who hasn't complained about the refs in the MLS? And is it towards Montreal? It's hard to say because when I put the clip about that penalty, Elias, you say it's not a penalty, but over 80% people say it is a penalty. And as a matter of fact, you guys are gonna laugh. The not the penalty, but it was the one of Matty Longstaff where he got tripped.
Oh, that was a penalty.
Oh, you were saying that was a penalty. Okay. But
100% that was a penalty.
But the only people and I didn't address it on X, but I want to address it here because it actually made me laugh. Laugh because I don't want to get angry about it. But I had a random TFC fan that commented on the video saying that's payback for Josh Sargent a month ago. It's like,
what?
All right, man. All right, man. All right. So it just
it's okay. He's a Toronto fan.
I just love it, but I get on their algorithm. It's a big. But anyway, so what I wanted to say is that I love it as a fan, as a follower of the team, to have your coach talk like that. But at the same time, it's not going to change. I'm sorry, guys. It's not going to change until there's a league-wide reform of the referees, because we watch the CF Montreal games. We think it's unjust for the CF Montreal games, but if you watch the other MLS games, there's also very 50-50 calls that are super questionable. So I think it's a league-wide problem, not a Montreal problem, but we get angry at it because it always happens. It seems so evident that it happens to us. So love to hear Lafroy say that, but at the same time, it's kind of a little bit frustrating. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. We got our Roses FC, who also had a tie. They drew with Calgary Wild FC 2-2 in a stormy afternoon game. Before we get to the lineup, this guy, man. Roses didn't make an announcement this week. I think it was either this week or last week of a new hiring to replace Annie Larouche as president of the club. How do you? I think you know him from the past. Well, he's very well known in the community. I personally, guys, I'm sorry, I've never heard of him, so I will have to do a little bit of research. But he's very well known in the community for his work and what he's done. Hugues, I forget his last name. Léger. So he's actually, people are very excited to have him on the club. Do you want to tell us a little bit of what your impressions are when you first learned about this, him being added to the Rose FC?
Oh, it's a very good choice. Someone that's been in and around soccer, but sports altogether for years. He was with Tennis Canada. He will pretty sure leave his position with Tennis Canada in the next few days before he accepts and he starts being full time as a president of the Roses. But he's also someone that was a chief marketing officer for CF Montreal for 3 years before, so he worked with CF Montreal too. He did quite a lot, honestly, and I met him when he was a part of Victoire Media. And that's when I met him, and he's a very, very nice guy. He understands sports. He understands what's needed in Montreal, and I think it's going to be a great, great hire for the Roses in order to increase their presence in the sports world in Montreal. They are present, I think, in the soccer world, they need to be more present in the sports world, and I think he will help with that, just because he has seen a lot of aspects of sports in Montreal.
Awesome. Elias, did you want to maybe add some words about having Hugo be part of the club?
No, I think I'm happy they finally got a permanent replacement in, and again, someone who has a breadth of experience in the Montreal sports scene, in the Montreal ecosystem. They could have gone out and gotten like some regular schmegular, business person that understands maybe the financial side, but understanding culturally and sportingly what it takes to be the president of an organization like this is really important. So he helped the Rogers Cup, whatever, it's not the Rogers Cup anymore. He helped the National Bank Open now. Again, rise to a very high level, and that is the flagship event of Canadian tennis, and it's one of the biggest tournaments. It's in the second highest category of tournaments now in professional tennis, and that's huge. So I'm very excited to see what happens next. But again, this is all about what ideas and what he can bring to the Roses to keep that momentum. So tennis and soccer are not the same sports. They don't have the same fan bases. They don't, cater to the same demographics, the same kind of people. So I'm very curious to see how his experience translates.
I just find it super interesting that these big personages, these big characters of the sports world in Montreal are kind of working, all connecting through soccer, right? We have Annie Larouche that is now having a mandate with Stade Olympique, which we know that CF Montreal is very close to maybe, signing a lease there. Now Roses need to take the next step, so they get a guy that knows, as you guys mentioned, the community of Montreal, the sports world of Montreal, and can maybe elevate them to the next level, because Annie Larouche did a fantastic job getting this project started, and then we also have as you mentioned, Hadi, like he's worked in several different sectors. He understands. So it's going to be very interesting how they tackle soccer and how that could impact the next few years of Roses FC, and how we maybe see Roses. I want to see Roses FC everywhere in Montreal. Posters. Now, I don't know. You guys do take the metro, I'm assuming. Every time I take the metro, I do see a poster of them there, the Roses, and I love it. I'm like, good. Especially the game this Sunday, which we'll talk a little bit later. But let's go ahead and get to the game. So as I mentioned, Rose FC drew to Calgary Wild FC 2-2 in a stormy afternoon game. I literally said those words. Let's look at the lineup. So goalie Anna Karpenko, who we had on the show this past week. You guys got to go check out her interview on Patreon. We had Annabelle Rizzetto, Lucy Capadonna, and Megan Sauvé in the back line. Charlot Bibo in the midfield with Chloe Minas. Then we had Lisa Pechersky and Mimi Aladou on the top, with Pierre-Louis and Tanya Boychuk on the wing back, as well as Elise Bennett. Jesus. Every time.
Oh, man.
But
Another one.
Another one. Okay, so Elias will join us in a little bit. So, Hadi, can you tell me, like, the same question I asked with the CF Montreal game? This tie, did you feel it like a win or a loss?
A loss.
And why?
A loss, 100%. It's a loss. It's man, again, okay, you're playing at home. I know that the results of the Roses at Stade Montréal are pretty rough, but you still need to win your home games. At the same time, you're playing against the last place team in the league. Yes, they've been very good against the Roses since the beginning of the season. Had a few results from them, but you should be able to beat them. And at the same time, everybody was relishing on getting that first spot in the league, because with the win, the Roses could have been number one in the league with that win. And they didn't. And it's a missed opportunity, because they were, I think, for the better part of the game, the best team on the pitch. Now, they did have a few segments where they weren't. And every time there was an opportunity from Calgary, it was almost a goal. Twice it was a goal. And then two other times it came very close to be a goal. So I don't know. I feel that team, every time they get after a very good performance or after a very good result, not performance, a very good result in Toronto, you have the opportunity to really grow on that and expand on that. You missed the boat, and this is exactly what happened again this Sunday at Stade Boreal.
Yeah, I agree with you. Calgary is a specific team that for some reason Rosa seems to struggle with. They seem to struggle with figuring them out because they play a completely different brand of soccer. Calgary is a very physical team, almost a physical team that I just don't enjoy watch playing because they don't seem to do the basic things right, but they can hit you. They literally will pull, tug, and all that, whatever it is to get the ball, and it's kind of annoying, but at the same time, it's their brand of football, and they can work. But at the same time, as you mentioned, Hattie, they're last place. They're last place in the NSL. So I think so far, if I'm not wrong, I might be wrong here, but they've already had 3 coaches this season, if I'm following them correctly. But yeah, it was kind of a tough game to watch because this draw definitely did feel like a loss because, as you mentioned, last place team, and it's important game to kind of build that momentum to go to Stade Saputo because it's a huge game that's coming up. So very, very, very important game, and at the same time, I felt like they were, and we'll talk about the top and the flop in a little bit, but there were certain individual performances that just didn't live up to the expectation. To me, I will always consider these home games, especially for Rose FC and Supra, especially since they practice on that field on every day of the week, to use that as to their advantage, but it never seems to work. Now, obviously, we've discussed it ad nauseum here in this pod, the quality of the field is Stade Boreal, but it doesn't excuse the fact that sometimes these individual performances I mentioned are so poor. And I think Rose FC had a prime opportunity to really, like I said, build a momentum for next week, but at the same time, kind of take that first place and really start, kind of getting back in rhythm, because since the firing of Robert Rossitoyu, they had that 2-0 victory, but at the same time, you want to see continuity in that. And I just felt like there wasn't that continuity. So, yeah, I think they Calgary just kind of figured them out. The goals were tough to see by Calgary because it was a rainy day. Hadi, you were at the stadium yesterday. I can only imagine that you probably saw the conditions. I know I was on the road and I could see how bad it was, but did you think it affected both of their games? Did you think Calgary handled it better, the conditions?
Not really. Honestly, it wasn't that bad during the game. I think there was maybe a span of 10, 15 minutes where it was raining pretty bad, but the rest of the time it was okay. It wasn't really raining. I don't think conditions can explain that defeat or the level of play of Roses, because they did well in some aspects and they weren't very bad in that game. But no, I don't think weather played a part at all, in my opinion. I don't think it was that bad to be a very big, a very big
obstacle,
aspect of the game and obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the top flop of the game. So did you want to start with your top flop, or did you want me to start?
No, go ahead, man.
So I thought my flop for the game was Lisa Pechersky, because she's had such a fantastic start to the season, and I feel like slowly but surely it's either teams are figuring her out, and she's also starting to lose a little bit of confidence in her play. She's still one of the fastest players in the team, and she's still very smart, how she positions herself to get the ball and how to set the attack up. But at the same time, I've noticed that the chemistry between her and Bennett doesn't seem to be working right now, and they're both getting frustrated with each other, and it's almost making Pechersky force herself to make plays that are not there. So it's a little bit frustrating because the ball does go to her side a lot, but at the same time, it doesn't make it's not really helping the attack right now. If anything, she's kind of impeding the attack with some of those forced plays. My top would be Charlotte Bibeau. And I'll tell you why. Because, hey, Elias is back. So to me, I'll say her name because I don't like her game at all. But Joriane Bocom,
Yeah, welcome.
number 4, she is a tough player, physical player. Like she really does bring a physical aspect to the game to the point that sometimes to me is dirty football the way she plays. But Charlotte Bibo was not backing down from her. Was not that she was on her. The moment they take Charlotte Bibo out of the game, she twists. I think it was Laurie Thibault that took her over and went straight to the goal because Charlotte Bibo took it personal with number 4 and really stood up to her. And there was you guys can watch I'm sure you guys watched the game. I don't know if Heidi in the stadium it was the same thing, but there was a lot of pushing and shoving between the two of them. Because but then they take Bilbao out and it changes the game completely. Because then you're forcing a Lucy Kappa. Because before number 4 had to face Charlotte Bilbao, and if she went past through her, then it was another Lucy Capadana that was stood her ground as well with her. But yeah, so that was my top of the game. I really, really like Charlotte Bibo's game against Calgary. Elise,
Your flop.
huh?
Your flop.
I did say my flop, Lisa Petruski.
Oh, yeah.
Hattie, did you want to say your top flop of the game?
Yeah. Okay. My top was Chloe Minas. I really loved her game. She was all over the pitch. She was doing everything right. Honestly, she blew my mind. I think it's the best game of the season for her. Like, I know she was really great last year, but this year I hadn't seen her at that level yet. And I think that yesterday she was everywhere. And at the same time, of course, you have a Charlotte Bilbao, and I agree with you, Andy. You have Charlotte Bilbao that's really coming, like we're showing everything that she's made of. Because we hadn't seen Charlotte Bilbao at that level yet, and now you can see her. She's really blossoming in that team, and it's helping Chloe Minas a lot. And I really love the game of Chloe Minas. Yeah, and for my flop, I'm going to be a bit harsh because I know that she didn't have a full preseason and it was a bit tough for her coming in. But I didn't like the game of Amandine Pierre-Louis. I feel that she's been a bit like it's hard for her, right? Because she comes in, she has to perform at a high level like right away. She plays on a pitch that's really bad. We're not going to talk about it again. And she needs to play as a right wing back, and I'm not sure if that's her position. I think it's better for her to play as a central defender or a right fullback. And I feel she doesn't bring enough on that team, and I feel that that right side, unfortunately, is not producing anything on the wing back position. And on the other side, there's a lot more plays that start from the left because the right side is not producing enough. And I don't know. I would have liked a bit more from Amandine Pierre-Louis. I'm not sure if she's able to give a bit more. I'm not sure what she's able to bring at that position. I'm going to say I can't wait for F. Berisset to be back.
Elias, maybe just because I know you missed the part where we said that this feel like a win or loss for Rose FC. Maybe give us that and then give us your flop and your top and your flop, please.
It reminds me a lot of Halifax last year, where it's the worst team in the league, but for some godforsaken reason, they have the Roses number. Yeah. Right? You look at Halifax last year, who were miserable, and Montreal could not figure them out over the course of the 5 games they played each other that season. You take a look at the Calgary this year. They've got 2 wins that they just got, granted. They got back to, they're unbeaten their last 3, which is nice. But 3 draws, they're all the Roses, right? Up until 2 weeks ago, the only points they'd gotten were off the Roses, and they drew them again here, right? These are games you cannot afford to lose. And if Montreal does not end up winning the league, it is directly because of the performances against Calgary. Talking about that 2-2 in Calgary, where they gave up 2 goals in the last 5 minutes. I'm talking about a game like this right here, where they should have again grabbed all 3 points. So look, other teams lost to Calgary, right? Ottawa lost to Calgary. Vancouver lost to Calgary. These are points that are these are 0 points. That would have been even worse. So Montreal did well at least to stay unbeaten against them, and it'll help them. They're now 2 points away from Ottawa, and they have to play Ottawa 3 times, by the way. This league race is by no means over, but if they do end up losing to Ottawa by 2, 3, maybe even 4 points, it's directly because of them not being able to get the job done against a Calgary that at the time was significantly weaker. My top, I'm going to round out the midfield. My top is Mimi Alidou. She was fantastic. She was getting into the half spaces. She was combining. I would have liked her to be even more assertive because she was in really good spots throughout the game. And I feel like she almost didn't take full advantage of it. And even with that, I found that she was fantastic on the field. But I agree with you both. Charlotte Bibo, unbelievable. She's been in a fantastic run of form the last month or so. Chloe Minas, I think it was probably her best game. Maybe not all season, but definitely since her red card. Because I think after her red card, she kind of lost her rhythm a little bit. She did lose her starting spot briefly, but Chloe Minas was everything that we expected of her and everything we've come to know about what she can bring. So she was fantastic. But Mimi Alidou, for me, was classy and she was effective. And I just need her to be almost I need her to throw her weight around a little bit more because she is that good and she has the potential to be the best player in the league. I mean, she's on the level of the best players in the league. And sometimes I feel like she sinks into the background a little bit too much. And we're going to talk about the field. I'm going to talk about the field. It does not suit her play style at all. I can't wait. I don't know if you guys talked about it next week. I cannot wait to see her on natural pitch.
Let's
get right to it.
Massive natural
next
pitch.
Week.
Because,
Stats
oh my
Saputo.
God. Quickly, I'm going to agree with Hattie. My flop. It's not a flop because I don't think she had a bad game. But Amandine Pierre-Louis is not a wingback.
Yeah.
She just isn't. Right? If they played in a back four, she would be unstoppable. No one would be getting by her. She'd be reliable. She'd be solid. But wingback asks too much of her, a player of her profile. And so in the build-up and in possession and defensively, she's rock solid. But when this system is entirely reliant on kind of throwing numbers forward with abandon, that's not the kind of player she is. So I think she was profiled very well. I think she's a fantastic outside center back. I think she would thrive there. The only problem right now is Megan Sauvé and Anne-Valérie Seto are playing really well. So now you kind of have this competition here where you might have to end up benching people that don't deserve it. But like Hattie said, when F. Perisset comes in, she's not going into the midfield. There's a huge gap at wingback. So whether you like it or not, someone that is either playing very well or that is very good is going to lose a starting spot. That just is the reality. And that's also a good thing, right? This is a competitive environment. You're not just it's not all kumbaya and holding hands and, everyone gets to start. No, you have to earn your spot. And the forwards realized that very quickly this season. All these top level forwards, all these very elite, very talented forwards coming in either had to find a new position like Lisa Petritsky or Tanya Boychuk or find some time on the bench. So I think, now it's high time that players in other positions kind of have to deal with that as well, because that is the reality of being a professional footballer. But again, she didn't play poorly. It's just she's playing very much. It feels like Danny Rios at left winger. It doesn't fit. So yeah.
That's interesting. All right, so we'll do the last topic for Roses before we move on to FC Supra. As you mentioned, Elias, very exciting. Probably, in my opinion, Roses FC biggest game of the season.
Biggest game of ever, man.
Of the club. I'm not the players. Not the club.
Yeah.
It's their first time that they're going to play an NSL game at Stade Saputo in natural grass next weekend against the Halifax Tide. This is an important game. I don't know what other way to put it. This is a massive game for the club, exposure-wise. Our followers, our listeners, those that are watching us right now, those that will watch us later, we highly encourage you guys to go watch and support the Roses because it's a very important, not only important for Rose FC, but important for soccer in Quebec, in Montreal. So highly encourage you guys to go. That's all I want to say. I don't work for the club. I don't do anything, but I think here at the Ball is Round, we all agree that people should be going to Stade Saputo to watch Rose FC. But how important is this? Let's talk about it. Okay, I gave my opinion how important it is. I think it's the biggest game of the season. Just, exposure wise, right? How this team is going to be exposed to the scene. I'm, you know, I'll give you guys an example. My sister, right? She doesn't go to any CF Montreal game, no Super games, but she told me I'm a big fan of women's soccer, so I do want to go support their biggest game, even if she doesn't know any of the players' name. She's there for the cause of that. How important is this game, guys, in every facet of it, sporting wise, win wise, loss wise? The amount of people that show up to Stade Saputo on Saturday night, um, the viewership maybe of the game. I don't know. How important is Rose's game at Stade Saputo next weekend?
Super important because, as I said a bit earlier, I feel that the Roses are well known in the soccer community in Montreal. They're doing a good job there, but I don't think they're known enough in the sports community. And having that big of an event at Stade Saputo and having those promotions left and right, you can see it on the websites, on billboards, everywhere,
Facebook, everywhere, yeah.
on all social media. I think it's super important in order to grow the and to attract new supporters, new fans for this team. And honestly, we said it quite a few times here on The Ball Is Round. The atmosphere there is really nice. Whatever the Rose FC are doing, they're doing exactly the right thing. I love what they're doing. It's a good organization. They're doing everything they can to promote the sport. And honestly, they're doing a great job. So it's important for them to do that event and to make sure that we beat Toronto, because the team, the record, the objective of that is to beat the record for a Canadian women's team, the attendance for a Canadian women's game in Canada. The record is 14,518, if I remember correctly. I got news from the club, from Roses FC. As of yesterday morning, they sold a bit more than 13,000 tickets.
Let's go.
So I feel that we should beat the record if we continue on promoting that game. Today I was at the dentist and I convinced my hygienist to come with her daughter to the game. So just to let you know, promoting the game is super important. Yes, we don't work for the team, but at the same time, we love soccer. We cover the team. And of course, we're going to do it. And we're going to promote it because this is what we love. This is what we like. So super important. And one last thing before I shut up forever. One last thing, the importance of the result.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to beat a record, make sure that you win.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to all the players. If you're going to attract people, 14,000, 15,000, hopefully 19,000, and the stadium will be sold out. If you do that and you win, you're going to have so much attractivity from that game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be super positive. If you lose, that doesn't mean you're not going to attract more fans. You will attract more fans, but not as much that if you win. And if you win 2-0, 3-0, the bigger the score, the better it is. And honestly, I truly hope that this would not be a missed opportunity for the Rose FC.
Yeah, it's also super important because it's also important that you show your style of play. And it's also why I'm kind of excited that this is happening this season and not last season, because the Roses play such a more attractive style of football.
I agree.
This season. And you take into account, the fact that it's a natural pitch versus that glorified parking lot that they play on in Laval. And then you take into account the fact that it's also one of the biggest, if not the biggest pitch in terms of surface area on the continent. It's huge. Like the actual dimensions of Stade Saputo are massive, right? It's like 2 meters lengthwise and widthwise larger than the smallest MLS stadiums on the pitch. So it's huge. You're going to have more space. You're going to have people like Lisa Petrsky, people like Tanya Boychuk that are going to have so much space to run into. You're going to have this midfield that's so good with the ball, finally be able to keep the ball and use the space. All this stuff, it's almost like a dream come true in terms of the setting and the quality and everything there and the crowd in front of them. So I hope that everything the stars have aligned. Now they kind of have to deliver on it. But everything there is set up for it to be one of the most fantastic nights in the club's history. So, yeah, there is a lot of pressure, but the reward you get from this, if everything goes smoothly, is incalculable.
100%, 100%. So yes, I agree with that. So yeah, we'll move on to FC Supra before our last topic of the day. But before our last subject of the night, if you're enjoying the ball this round,
a huge thank you to our friends at Impact Essential. No, but seriously, we do have a sponsor with Impact Essentials that do products for beards, and they're being part of the Ball is Round squad right now, and it's really, really interesting to have them be our partners. So whether you're getting ready for match day, heading to the stadium, or just tuning in from home, make sure you're looking your best, like Elias, with their premium all natural grooming products. So visit impactessential.ca and use promo code TBIR to save 15% on your order. So promo code TBIR to save 15% on your order. Every purchase helps support the show and keeps us bringing you the best coverage of CF Montreal, Roses FC, FC Supra du Québec, and everything else. So let's get back to the beautiful game.
Last topic of the day. So FC Supra drew 1-1 to Inter Toronto away from home. Also, they played at the same time as Roses FC. It was kind of a weird thing, but what else can we expect? 3 Montreal soccer teams is bound to overlap. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at the lineup. And this time he didn't cover my face. So goalie, we had Joaquim Mili. At right back, we had Sissoko. I don't think he was his right back. But anyways, Kishan Ferdinand, Mathis Chrétien as center backs. Then we had Abzi as a left back. Safwan Emla and Alessandro Biello as midfield. Loic Kwemi, Sean Rea, and David Chouanière as the attackers, and Conde as the number 9. So overall, as I mentioned with the 2 other teams, this game again finished in a 1-1 draw. I know, Hattie, you were saying, it would have been so good if it was 2-2, just all teams finished 2-2, but it ended up disappointingly being just 1-1. Elias, I'll start with you. Did this draw feel like a win or a loss, and why?
Devastating loss, not just because of the implications in the standings, because now, even though you have a game in hand, you're 7 points back. It's rough, because this game should have finished like 4-5-1 and not 1-1. It's unacceptable lack of finishing and lethality in the final third, because so especially in the last 20-25 minutes, there was so much space that Toronto was giving up for free, that Rhea was running into, Chouanière was running into, Kwemi was running into, and nothing came of it. It's unacceptable. They handed the game. They basically gave up in the second half. Toronto gave up in the second half completely, and the Supra gave them a way back into the game. It's as simple as that. Once again, the Supra have lost the points themselves. Right, and you look back at the last. If you just include CPL games, right, and you go back, I'm gonna pull this up now, because you look at Inter Toronto, a draw, a loss against Forge, a loss against Atletico Ottawa, a draw against Calgary. Those 4 games, you should have gotten at least 10 points from that, because Calgary, you give up a terrible conceded corner in the 88th minute, you're forced to deal with a 1-1 draw. Against Atletico Ottawa, 2 goals in the last 10 minutes. Again, both of them completely self-inflicted because you don't defend set pieces and crosses properly. You lose 2-1. Forge FC, you have a draw settled against, again, the best team in the league that's admittedly not in great form, and you give away, you are completely caught out For some reason, you throw an inexplicable amount of numbers forward at Forge on the road. You get caught on the counter, and then you concede and you lose. And then you have this game here into Toronto, where you concede 50 minutes in on a horrifying defensive gaffe, and you manage to pull one back at the hour mark. Congratulations. And then you spend the next half hour of the game with every single attacking option you have available to you. You do whatever you want. They let you do whatever you want, and then you refuse to put the ball in the back of the net because you cannot find the combinations. It's unacceptable. So these 10 points, instead of that, they've got 2. This is why you're missing the playoffs, right? And I think back, because again, on Can FC, we talked about, the fact that this is still even a success because they're competitive and they made the Canadian Championship semifinal. Yes, but I think a lot about the Canadian men's national team and this World Cup run, where we said round of 16 is a success, no matter what. Yes, technically it's true. But the way that you lose is going to affect my takeaway. If you told me that FC Supra is battling for 5th in the league and they made the Canadian Championship semifinal at the beginning of the season, I take it without skipping a beat. Without skipping a beat, that is a fantastic success for an expansion team. But I'm seeing the way that they're dropping these points. I'm seeing the way that they're getting knocked out of this playoff contention. And it's unacceptable. It is horrifying. And so it's kind of coloring what should have been a successful season just because of how they're doing it. So, yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of soccer to be played. And there's a lot of very important 6-point matches coming up. They're still playing Ottawa. They're still playing Vancouver. They're still playing Wanderers. There's still a lot of soccer left to be played. But I've seen no progression that's giving me any reason to think optimistically about this team's late game management. Even the game that they won, that they tied 3-3 against Ottawa in the Canadian Championship, right? They played Ottawa off the field. Ottawa were not even playing the same sport. And then they switched off, and then they let Ottawa score 2 goals in 3-3. Yeah, sure, they were already through. But why are you conceding these goals? Why are you switching off at the end of the game? Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are you not putting your foot on the neck and breaking the neck? You let teams back in, no matter, even when you've won the game, you let teams back in. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, to me also, I similar to what you're saying, Elias, it feels like a loss. It feels like a loss not only because of everything you've mentioned, but also because it's repeated patterns in a lot of ways. If I'm asking you guys today, tell me what kind of soccer FC Super plays. What's their identity on the field? I'm sorry, I can't give you a clear answer. I can tell you very good individual players that they have, but I cannot give you a team identity as to what they play. So to me, this tie feels like a loss because of the repeated patterns that have gotten them to that tie. As you mentioned, a lack of creativity in the attack, a lack of maybe, something different that they can show. No, it's always the same thing, and we always come down to the same result. This is not a team that convinces me today, right now, that they can make it into the playoffs, or even if they do, far into the playoffs. Because, again, we talk about we almost joke about it. I even heard the guy doing the play-by-play that he was joking about it, about how whoever tweeted out, I bet it was Maxime. I think it was Maxime Truman that that tweeted out that FC Super should only play 80 minutes of a game. Because it's kind of a joke, because it really is. After 80 minutes, guys, I told you before the show, I watched their game until what minute today? The FC Super game.
80th minute.
The 80th minute, because and I have no idea what happens after that. It could be a shit show for all I know, or it could be a fantastic game. But that's the kind of game that FC Super has been playing all season, where they show you one thing and then they show you another thing within the next 10 minutes. The FC Super I saw in the first half and the FC Super I saw in the second half are two completely different teams. Now, you can talk about the way Toronto played and how they allowed FC Super to play, but I think FC Super are not playing a football that is identifiable. Instead, it's individuals that are making the game happen. And that's a problem to me, because a soccer team is not supposed to be about individuals that make things happen when they want it to happen. It's about a team that builds an attack and that has a clear identity both on defense and on offense. And right now, it doesn't feel that way for FC Supra. So, Hari, what do you think? Did this game feel like a win or a loss?
Oh, I'm not going to repeat everything that you guys said because I agree with you 100%. And so I'm not really going to repeat everything. It feels like a loss because I don't think that Toronto is good enough, man. Like
No, they're not.
we should be able to win that game pretty, like, I'm not going to say pretty easily, but we should be able to win that game. Whether it's at home or away, we should be able to win that game. And unfortunately, we're not able to. Why? Because, as you said, Andy, I feel that that team sometimes, in some parts of the games, they don't play as a group. They play as individuals. And I completely agree with you, Andy. Now, sometimes it gives some very good things, like great goals, like Kwemi that's been awesome this year. But sometimes at the same time, it gives some bad things where the team is completely disjointed, and this is exactly what we saw the last game. So I don't know what's the solution for Supra. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure because I don't think there's a solution. So we'll see. Hopefully,
the solution is to find an identity, to know like
Yeah,
when
but-
Here's the thing. I do believe they have an identity,
me too. I think they are.
especially with the ball. I think Nick Rizaghi has done a
100%.
good job at least tactically getting this team to agree and express themselves in a common way and in a consistent way. My problem is that this team does not behave professionally because professionals, when it comes down to the 80, 85th, 90th minute, lock in and get the job done. When it comes to expressing their football, when it comes to understanding how this team is supposed to play, I think they've done a fantastic job of that. But
No,
they're not behaving as professional footballers. They're behaving as semi-pro footballers that are just 10 times better than every other semi-professional
I
footballer.
agree with that. That's what
100%. I agree with you. There's only one thing. I want to give the Supra just the benefit of the doubt on one thing. Okay, they've been very short in defense. You know that
I agree.
the injury of Yeo at the beginning of the season has been very, 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 very bad for them.
huge blow.
You know, Ferdinand we all know he's playing injured. Everybody knows that, right? He's playing injured and it shows. It shows. So I will never criticize Ferdinand because I know he's playing injured, right? At right back, you have Charles Auguste, but there's nobody else who's going to be able to help him. So, like, they're really short on a defensive
Yeah,
end.
but the transfer window was open, no? They could have signed defenders, no?
But who? Who?
Anybody. Literally.
No.
Like,
They do have a bench. They're just not at the same level as those people. Now, I'm very excited. I'm going to tell you something. I'm very, very, very excited to see Zachary Fernandez. I love that player. I saw him with the academy of CF Montreal. I saw him in tryouts. This guy was outstanding. Unfortunately, he was injured and he had like some bad luck in the past few years. I think that he could bring something very, very different for this team. So I can't wait to see him play more often. So that I'm excited about because I know the product. I know him. I know the player, and I really love him. I thought he was going to make it with CF Montreal, to be honest. And I was surprised that he didn't. So I'm excited about Zachary Fernandez.
I also think they probably expect him to be back sooner rather than
He started. He played.
I know, but I don't think that they expected him to be out this long. That he's just now getting back into it. You know, like this is his preseason, effectively.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
So I think that they were expecting to have him back maybe by July.
Yeah.
Right? They were talking during preseason because he was already on his way back during training camp. And so the fact that we're late August now and he's just getting back into it, I think the fact that they didn't move as aggressively on the transfer market was because that they were expecting him back sooner. And the fact that he's not, I think that they were almost caught out.
all right, so let's finish up with this. The top flop of the game. what were your top of flops? Elias, I think I'll start with you.
My top is, sounds like a broken record, but Sean Rea again. Like there's only so much he can do apart from picking the ball up and putting the ball in the net himself. Which again, some games he's had to literally do that. But I can't ask any more from him. He's every game he's at an insane level. My flop.
Come on. There's only one flop, man. Yeah, there's only one flop.
And the thing is, what pisses me off is that you got the entire spectrum of Didier Nabzi on Sunday afternoon. Because when he created that goal, unbelievable display of technical quality. He picks out the cross, the layoff, the finish. That's great. But again, the Didier Nabzi that is, invested, getting into advanced spaces, making things happen, has the potential to be not just one of the best left backs in the league, but one of the best players in the league. But you look at the goal that is conceded. You look at the goal that he could the winning goal for Atletico Ottawa 2 weeks ago. You look at goal like this, where he just switches off. And you see he gets turned, and then he realizes that that's his guy. He's like, oh, fuck. Like, he's again, we talked about this during the midseason review. He's too good to be letting things like this happen. And it's gone to the point where Thomas Leboeuf has been playing decent, solid football. If I'm Nick Rizaghi and I see that, I go, I'm taking the restraints off you. I'm putting you as a forward. Go nuts. You don't have to worry about, you don't have the same defensive responsibilities because you have Leboeuf, who's proven to at least be a capable CPL left back. You get to go forward. Go nuts. You get to make the runs you want. You get to do the dribbles you want, because if you fail a Meg, next to the other team's corner flag, that's fine. If you do it next to our corner flag, I'm gonna lose my shit. But go nuts. I don't understand why he hasn't at least tried him, aside from late in the game when you're losing or as a sub, why he hasn't tried him over a long period of time as a forward. Because the front four of Didier Nabzi, Sean Rea, David Chouanière, and Loic Quemi, I put that against any team in the CPL, and I'm confident that they come out on top. Any front four, any attacking core, I put that against anybody, and they win that. There's so much talent, and there's so much of it. There's so much imagination that you cannot man mark or double team anybody on that team, because the other one's going to eat you alive. So now does Nick Rizaghi put his foot down and make it happen, or does he have, this is his biggest man management test of arguably of his career, because getting Didier Nabzi invested and focused for 90 minutes is the difference between finishing top 3 in the league and not making the playoffs.
Harry, top flop?
I'm not going to repeat the flop, but it is Abzi. Not only he was stupid on the goal, but also he got a red card. And it's not his first red card.
Second yellow was weird.
But dude, it's not. At the end of the day, it's not his first red card of the season.
No, it's not. You're right. You're also very right.
So honestly, I expect more of a veteran player, of a player that's supposed to be the backbone of your team or part of the backbone of your team. I expect a lot more. And honestly, like this game, and the reason why we weren't able to win that game is because of the Didier Nabzi. It's as simple as that. And this is how I see it. Now, as a top, I'm not gonna say Rea like you, because it's a bit redundant. I know he didn't have the best game of the season, but I like David Chouanière's game.
Yes, absolutely.
I really like his game. I think he was very mobile. He gave that assist. We saw him he really wanted to score. He really wanted to score. And you know what? That's something that's been lacking on that hunger to score and that hunger to be found in attacking positions or shooting positions. We haven't seen that since the beginning of the year. But this time, I saw that from David Choinière. And that's what I'm looking for. At the same time, yeah, you didn't score, but at least you showed that you wanted to. And I don't know if there was a switch tactically from Nick Razagi. I'm not really sure. I wasn't able to find that switch. But I feel that David Choinière had a good game. I liked his game.
The last month or so, I've seen a completely different David Choinière.
Yeah, he's been better.
This game up since the first Canadian Championship game leg against Ottawa. I think he's picked his game up massively, and he looks like the player that they signed.
100%.
I'll say my top flop. So my top is, you guys already know. Who's my top, guys?
Oh, man. I don't want to say it, man. I just don't. I'm not going to say it.
Who's my top, guys?
Is it
Guys,
Alexis Sanchez?
It's worse, man.
I've watched a completely different game than you guys. And as I mentioned,
You mentioned this before. Oh my God.
I only watched it till the 80th minute, right? My top is Abzi. Okay, you both of your flops. But I like the reason why I chose Abzi, and I'll say this, is because I really, really liked his intention during the game. It's something that I've been very critical of him throughout the beginning of the season, is his intent in the game. I felt like he was lazy. He didn't really read. Yes, are you guys right about him giving up the goal? 100%. And it is dumb of him to do that. But I really liked how he was helping out the flow of the game. Abzi has been known in the past for just kind of disappearing and if anything, appearing for bad moments. I felt like this time he was a positive influence to the game. And as you mentioned, he actually helped. He was influential in both of the goals that FC Super scored. I really like that. I still think that he has a lot of work to do, and not necessarily speed-wise, technically-wise. I think he has a lot of work to do with the mental, with understanding what he's doing and how important he is and his potential that he has. But I really liked his game this time. I felt like he was there. He was present. Maybe too much because he got himself a red card. But at the end of the day, I did like his performance. My flop
David Choinière
is going to be David Choinière because...
Okay. Like strike 47. Fuck, I've had enough now. Man.
Dude, he had to. How he puts it in a nice way of like, he's trying to shoot, he's trying to score. No, fuck that, man. You're supposed to be much better than that. You're supposed to be scoring those goals. How long has it been since David Choinière, as a winger, hasn't scored for FC Super, and how many chances has he had to score? And it's just. He's not a 21-year-old winger that's learning the way he shoots. I don't care, guys. This is my opinion. I'm dissatisfied with his. I expect so much more from the captain of this team, and I really think that he's underperforming. Again, this is a whole team situation where we can continue saying, Ray, I could pick Ray. I could pick Mantis Chrétien. I could pick Loic Quemi. Loic Quemi, I think he scored a goal, but he's also getting very frustrated, and you're noticing with him forcing shots. But David Choinière is not forcing shots. He's just miscalculating them, and they continue getting blocked. So I'm expecting a lot more from David Choinière. I am. And just like you guys gave me shit about Alexis Sanchez, I'm expecting a lot from David Choinière, and that's why he's my flop of the game. I think he's the one with the most CPL experience. I might be wrong. The one with the most CPL experience in the team, and understands his opponents and understands the league. I think he should be leading the league in scoring because he has had chances.
But Andy, we're talking about a flop of the game, not about the season and your expectations of what David Choinière should bring.
No, I know. We're
talking about the game itself. Yeah. In that game, he was at least available, where he wasn't in all previous games. And I did name him a flop in quite a few games. But on this game here, I really like this game.
I don't disagree that he was available.
Conde. Like, Conde makes more sense as a flop than
Choinière. Conde wasn't.
We're out, guys. I'm watching a completely different game. I must have watched last week's game instead of this week. Because honestly, what the hell are we talking about right now? But I'll stick with my flop. I'm not talking about the season. My when I talk about the season. It's not because I'm judging my top of my flop on this game. I'm judging because this is the mentality I go into watching this game. That's what I do. I say, okay, David Choinière is the captain, just like I would say for Megan Sauvé for Rose FC or Samuel Piette for CF Montreal. Captains to me,
He's not playing.
Okay, whatever. But I still have higher expectations because they're the ones leading these men, leading these women into the pitch. And I just think that you're right. David Choinière was available, but he also had really, really good opportunities to put the game away against a Toronto team that is not better than FC Supra. And he didn't do it. And I think as a captain, you need to do it. And
I don't disagree with that. I really don't disagree with that. But I wouldn't put him as a flop because
that's okay.
But I understand your. I just wanted also to add. I really like what you said about the intensity of Absi. I agree with you that he had the right intensity in that game. Unfortunately, the execution wasn't there, in my opinion, and in multiple, like the goal that we conceded, but also and on the red card. But I agree that the intensity was better from the Absi. That I agree with you.
Yeah, and that's what makes it. Maybe I'm judging it differently than you guys, right? Like I'm seeing that as the more important thing to me. Like Abzi took advantage of opportunities that before he wouldn't have, and that's something I really like to see because it looks like he's buying in. He's actually buying into the project and trying to be the best version of himself. Again, he has a lot of work to do, especially in the mental aspect of the game. But those are my top of my flop. I'm listening to you guys. I'm like, oh boy, this is not gonna go well. All right, so last topic for FC Supra before we finish the show. FC Supra announced the addition of 24-year-old forward Noah Dos Santos to the squad. He's a winger, I believe, and a striker that plays winger and striker, right? Very well known. Was this the move that the team needed to do? Because I believe at this point, when we're talking, the transfer market's already closed for the CPL, if I'm not wrong, or it will be closing soon. When I spoke to Rocco, he told me he had 2 days. There were 2 days left for the transfer market. Hadi, what did you think of this?
Okay, I'm going to be brutally honest. I really don't know the player. Like, not at all.
Fair.
I know nothing about him. Never heard of him before, to be honest. I'm not going to say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I know him and he scored. No, I don't know anything about him. But I did my research, and I think he's going to be used as a striker. I think that's exactly the position that the Supra needs right now to be reinforced, because we did talk a lot about Loic Quemi and the fact that maybe he would be better on the left. So I can't wait to see Quemi on the left, Choinière on the right, Rhea in the middle as a number 10, and in front of them, Dos Santos, if he's good enough. Right now we're seeing Condé that had a couple of very good games before. He scored a couple of goals. He's been very, very good in the past few games, except this last one. But I think that's the right move. Now I can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do this year. I really can't wait, because is he going to be that player that's going to be the 9 that we've been looking for since the beginning of the season? And that's exactly what we need. And just one word about Jack McInerney and the rumor. I love that player. I really love that player. I loved Jack McInerney when he was at CF Montreal. Loved that player in the MLS before. I just hope he's fit enough and healthy enough to play a role. Because if you get a player like Jack McInerney and a good Jack McInerney in that team, he can do great things for Supra, because he's a poacher. He's exactly what you need. He's a poacher for that team. So I don't know if he still has it in him, but if he does, I'll be super happy.
Yeah, I think regardless if it's Jack Mac or Noah Santos or something, I think it's clear as day that they need reinforcements up top, because every single time I see Loic Quemi step out wide, the grass is greener, the sun is out, the sky is part. Everything is just better. So I think that with this recruitment, they're kind of acknowledging that Loic Quemi is good wherever he plays, but the best you get out of him is what we've known since before the season started. It's him as a winger cutting in and getting those one-on-ones. I did some research on Noah Dos Santos too. He seems to be a very physical and a very direct attacker, which, you know, when you have the kind of delivery that Didier Nabzi brings, that Sean Rea brings, that David Chouanière brings, even Charles Auguste that he brings when he gets forward, having a direct, box predator like that is a good thing to have. So again, we'll see how he measures up in terms of actual tangible anecdotes or experience. I have no idea what he plays like. I don't even know what foot he shoots with. But so it's interesting to see. But again, Ira Conde has had a good run of form recently, but we saw at the beginning of the season where he didn't start off that great. So we'll see where his real level lies as the season kind of averages out. And remember, right, just because that they signed people this season does not mean that they are a part of the Super forever because they're Quebecois. Players come in, players come out. That's just the cycle of football, Anyway,
Yeah.
On that happy note, on a very equal note, if you take a look at all the draws, that was a failed pun of a draw, but whatever. That's my brain is melting now. Okay, it is still 27 degrees in my room, so that is why. That's gonna do it for episode 275 of the Balls Around podcast. Thank you everyone who stuck with us for, again, another very meaty episode. But that comes with the territory. We cover all three major Montreal clubs. We cover a little bit extra as well whenever the news pops up, and we do it because we love it. We also love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us. The podcast is free. The podcast will always be free. However, if you're feeling a little bit generous, we also have a Patreon at the link in our bio and any social media you can find us at. You can contribute anything you like. You get lots of really cool stuff. You get access to you get first access on videos. You get first access to interviews. You get training notes. You get exclusive press conference audio from those training notes. And if you can't, if you can't contribute with money, it doesn't matter. Just sign up for the Patreon for free. We still appreciate. We still love you. There's still, again, lots of really cool goodies even in the free tier. So go ahead, sign up, and it's only going to get better. So we will see you next week for episode 276 of the Balls Round. There's going to be more nonsense. And again, huge Roses game at Stade Saputo. Make sure you go. Make sure you tell your friends to go. And there's really affordable tickets too, which is awesome. Make it
like $20. $20.
Exactly. See you next week, everybody.